Hi everyone, it's Claire from scrappynerduk UK, and today I am sharing with you days 13 and 14 in my December daily. So these stories are focusing on what I did these 2 days. What I did on the 13th, which was wrapped all the things, and yeah, it was a long process. We have a lot of people that we buy for, and so the mammoth task of wrapping all the gifts was my chore for the day. And so I have already got this foundation page that's prepped and ready. And this is an idea that was shared in the product play or the prep party from Ali Edwards. And I think this was Crystal's idea. So I haven't shown you the process of how this gets put together because that is paid content, and obviously I respect the designer of this, but I wanted to include this as one of my pages. So it's got this really cool interactive function where you pull up the slider, and the 4 photos that show my wrapping paper, when you pull it up, I've then got 4 photos that are showing the wrapped presents in this wrapping paper. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I am going to use the pull-up part as the space for my journaling. And so I printed it all on, actually got printed on photo paper, because I tend to, when I'm doing odd sizes, I tend to print my photos onto A4, because then I can collage a whole load of photos together and just use one bit of printer paper to print them all, or several if there are many. And so I thought I'd just use that to print my journaling as well. So I'm going to add one of the Avery tabs on to the top. I'm just adding these bits on to make that pull section a little bit sturdier. So when it gets pulled, there's no sort of fear of it tearing or ripping. Now it slides in and out fairly okay. It does get stuck a little bit occasionally, but I have since gone back in with a little bit of earth, just use the ruler and just push down the side of the edges, just to open it up a little bit, and that seems to have worked really well. So I realised that actually my the bottom strip of the journaling actually went over one of the photos, so I've just trimmed that off, and that is going to sit there poking out the top. Now what I don't show you in the photo is I actually add on a number 13 in that area, which I show you in the video, but actually later on I realised that I have got an overlay with my 13 on already, so that 13 comes off and I just stamp a sentiment and pop that in the tab instead, but I've done that off camera after I've realised that actually I've already got my number in the album for that day. So now on to the embellishing. So I'm using these puffy thickers from the Hey Santa collection and the one that says Hey Santa. And I am adding that over the top of this bottom photo, and the bottom photo was just an overhead shot of some of my husband's gifts that I was wrapping, and so I'm not too worried about covering that up. It just gives a nice little added embellishment to this spread. And then I wanted a bit more of that gold, so this little holly wreath section I'm adding on to the top also, and I really like how that looks, kind of pointing your eyes down towards the photos. So next up I'm going to add a couple of tiny word stickers. These are from Ali Edwards as well, and I'm using just the white text on red and the red text on white. So I'm going to pop a couple of those into the areas where the wrapping paper is quite, because I used quite a few different wrapping papers this year, so I'm going to put them in the ones that are quite subtle, the patterns that are quite subtle. The other 2 wrapping papers, I had Elf wrapping paper and I had Friends wrapping paper, and those are very busy papers and I don't want to go covering those up with embellishments, so I'm going to choose those other 2 areas for where my embellished areas are going to go. So I'm teaming up some white star stickers along with the chipboard stars, again from Ali Edwards from her December daily supplies. And I'm going to choose 2 of those. So one of those is going to be just above the Hey Santa, and then the other one is just going to go up into that photo where Elf is hiding. So I did contemplate adding a third one on, but I thought there was enough on here already, so I went without. And this is where I add on that 13, but that does come off because I already have my number in the album. I just completely forgot when I was making this, which was silly of me. So if my album tends to be too thick towards the end of the project, then I may end up taking the 13 overlay out and just adding in the 13 in numbers. So I am playing that by ear, that I could add that back in if the album becomes too thick, because it's looking pretty chunky and I've still got halfway to go. I've actually decided I'm only going to go up to the 25th this year. I just think that the stories that are to be told between between Christmas and the end of the year is not a great deal, because we're now back on lockdown again. So we can't go out, we can't go and see anyone. So I don't have masses of stories to tell after Christmas. I might do the 26th to tell that story for the rest of the week, but I'm not going up to the end of the year in this album, which I like consistency across my albums, but I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it this year, so I don't see the point in forcing those stories to be told and to be present if I don't have the stories to tell. So I'm okay with it. So I'm just going to re-punch the holes here. What I've done is actually on the back of that is my journaling for the next day. So I've actually all I've done is I've just measured the this insert, and then I've drawn myself a canvas, and I just use Pages, which is on the Mac. I've drawn myself a text box of that size, so I know that's the biggest that I can go, and I tend to size the text box down a little bit, so I knew roughly how big my journaling could be, and making sure that I had enough on the right hand side, so I had the text, made sure the text was left justified, so I had enough on the right hand side to be able to add those holes back in, because there's nothing worse than printing your journaling and hole punching through it. So I'm going to pair that with the photos of our numerous Christmas trees. So this is the story of today, and it's the story of several Christmas trees in the house. And so I'm only going to show you the process of one of this, because I've got 3 photos that are going to be done in exactly the same way. So I've just used the front page there as a template for the shape that I need for my photo. So these photos I have taken of 3 of the trees around the house, and I have then I've edited the photos to get a little bit of that starburst effect from the lights, and so I'm going to include those on here, and I use Lightroom for the editing of these photos, which is a piece of software that was I was introduced to from Shimelle as part of her Share Your Christmas. I've signed up to that class this year, and although I haven't managed to really take part in any of the prompts, I do aim to try and get to that over the coming month at least. But that was my introduction to using Lightroom, and I'm really enjoying it. So give it a go if you haven't. It's a free app you can download. So next up, I'm just going to add some embellishments on to the top of my journaling. So these teeny tiny little Christmas trees were donated to me from my friend. They are from Felicity Jane. So I'm going to add on 2 of those, and then this larger wood veneer tree in the middle, which is from Hobbycraft here in the UK. And then I'm going to just embellish over the top of the tree in the middle. Now I want to drag across some of that red that's quite prominent on the right hand side where the trees are, and so I use a tiny word sticker, and I'm also going to use these puffy alphas from Ali for my number as well. You can see that my numbers 1 and 2 have been somewhat ransacked from the sticker sheet, so I am running quite low on the 1s and 2s, and this is what happens with December Daily. So I just need to be a bit more inventive with which numbers I'm going to be using going forwards. So that's that. And then I said I just add on a tiny word, stick it in the red, just to bring a bit more of that red across to the left hand side from the right. And this is my spread done. Now what I do have as well is with the tree, I can tell it's going to be quite fragile in the album. So I've actually put that with a backing of acetate behind it, a snowflake acetate. And so that's going to give it a bit more stability. And I may stick the back part of the little tree mini album in onto that acetate. Haven't quite decided whether I'm committed to that or not yet. But that is going to go into the album like this, and that is days 13 and 14 done. So here we are, a little interactive element that pulls up and shows the journaling and my little Christmas mini tree. So I hope you have enjoyed the process today. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all next time.